Man, Mark, it's
over.
What a road, man. We're down to the last two movies, a two-parter.
This is a lot to discuss.
But we can do it.
I don't entirely know how we're going to do it, but we're going to try.
By the way, I think we need to put this up front. Listener, I don't know how to go about this also, like, without there being spoilers. This is a spoiler. Yeah, I mean, Dead Reckoning was 2023, but Final Reckoning has only been out for a week as of this recording. So, yeah, just pause this maybe, or bookmark it, or add it to your library, and come back to it after you've seen The Final Reckoning.
I will say, though, if you've seen any other Mission Impossible movie, you've seen this one.
Yeah.
There really isn't much more going on in this one.
No.
Though Tom Cruise does wave at cows in this one, which is a new thing. We will get into.
By the way, there were three things, and I will go through these super quick, that were forgotten from Fallout. I have to mention them just because.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Of these three things, Fallout has by far the best call out to Mission Impossible 1 because it opens up pretty much the same way. They're trying to hack into that guy's phone who's in the hospital, and Ethan asks Luther, did we get it? We got it. And then the walls fall down.
Wow.
And that's exactly like the first one.
Oh my God, you're right.
You know?
How did we miss that? That was a great callback.
That one, and the second item that I forgot to mention, the light the fuse sequence. It's my favorite one. Absolutely. Fallout is my favorite. Very fun editing with the fireball that burns through like scene to scene to scene. Lorne Balfe's really good pulsing music. So yeah, light the fuse. My favorite one. And then the third one, Mark, is it's kind of actually an apology that I owe you. Because
I can't imagine what you're about to say right now.
Fallout was also made by Bad Robot.
Oh, was it?
I'm just going to shut up about Bad Robot now.
Yeah, that's fine. I forgive you.
How many times did I be like, dude, no, this is the last one. I think, I swear.
Yeah, I think you did that 2 or 3 times. And I mean, we'll get into this, but number 3, which is in our opinions the worst, I think I'm safe in saying that, has a lot to do with the new one. They reference it way more than I thought they would.
I definitely think that McQuarrie actually kind of helped redeem that movie a little bit. I mean,
yeah, I'd agree with that.
But
I have some thoughts, but we'll get there.
Okay. I mean, this one is, now that we're diving into these two new movies, it's a little unusual because this was supposed to be a 2-parter. They were supposed to be filmed back to back. But then when you have COVID, you have the actor and writer's strike, you have inflation, you have everything that, under the sun that, came after this movie. I think it's impressive, these two that turned out the way they did,
They accomplish a lot. There's a lot happening in these, a lot of set pieces, a lot of locations, a lot of actors, a lot of moving parts, a lot of action. It's very impressive. And in my opinion, it is the most impressive thing about these movies, which is not a great review of the content of them, in my opinion. But you got to hand it to the production. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, I mean, the scale of both of these movies are really incredible, but it hits me hard how different these two movies are, and
yes.
And that should be, I have mixed feelings on this because McQuarrie has always said, all right, I will come back to do another one. This is after Rogue Nation. If with each one, we get to continue that feel of like, even though I'm the same director, it should be as if a new director is still there. New feel, new cinematographer, like all that stuff.
Right.
I feel like he actually lived up to that to the most part.
I'd agree with that.
They feel and look different, but let's go with some of the like kind of basic info of each of the movies. So
yes, good idea.
With
that's
Dead Reckoning,
number 7, right? That's the first part of this.
Yes, number 7. And that was July 12th, 2023. And that was delayed by a year because of COVID and because they were actually trying to not have a crowded box office, although then Barbenheimer happened and didn't work out so well. Plus, they had a limited IMAX runtime, not the case with Final Reckoning. They made sure of that. But for Dead Reckoning, it's Christopher McQuarrie directing, Christopher McQuarrie writing with, this is a change, Eric Jenderson is a writer that co-wrote with him for both of these movies.
Okay.
Jenderson was the co-creator of Band of Brothers. So that's kind of an interesting...
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And then the composer for Dead Reckoning is Lorne Balfe. He was back, and I thought music was great in Dead Reckoning.
Yeah, it's really good. Dead Reckoning has some great score.
The runtime was long. It was 2 hours and 43 minutes. These last two were long.
Yes, I agree.
Almost 3 hours, yeah.
I agree.
And both, have had trouble at the box office. The Dead Reckoning...
How's the new one's doing? How's the new one doing? Well, you'll get there.
Dead Reckoning, $291 million to make, which, again, COVID inflated that. I don't think there was any reason for it to be over 200 or even 180, and even then it would have struggled.
God.
It's,
much money.
And then, like the global box office for Dead Reckoning, $571 million. Normally, again, like to any other film, great numbers, but this one has just grown and grown and grown.
Yeah.
Then Final Reckoning. Final Reckoning came out May 23rd. This was last week. McQuarrie directing, McQuarrie and Jenderson writing. Composers, this was weird. Lauren Balfe was supposed to return. And for whatever reason, I'm hoping it was a scheduling conflict and not that he was fired. I mean, I don't know. I still don't know what the reasoning was.
It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Because, that was, I got to tell you, I think that's why I went into the movie already kind of doubtful and negative. I'm like, all right, something I was really looking forward to wasn't there already.
And I think we should mention that you and I got to see this movie together. Next to each other in the theater, which it felt very like a cumulative moment,
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we've been working on this and finally, all right, like we're working towards the last movie and yes, we get to see it, you know, and in fact, I was starting to wonder like, oh man, because I was making some comments like every now and then, I'm like, am I becoming that annoying guy?
Not at all.
It's like, let me just shut up and watch the movie.
I mean, it's such a long movie that how do you not say something? It can be a rough one.
But so Final Reckoning, the composers Max Arouge and Alfie Godfrey, who were actually proteges of Lauren Balfe. They worked on his technical team. They were brought in, and I feel like I've been really harsh with their stuff. Like, they followed his style pretty closely, you know? I think when we came out of it, I'm like, oh, that's like a hollow score. It's not the same thing. I'm like, you know what? Give it a chance. I'm just like, I need to listen to it again a little bit more. I'm going to go see it again next week.
Okay.
And I just
I'm going to try
like,
to too. I'd like to see it again.
I just feel like, okay, I went into it with a very set expectation. And now I'm like, okay, it's a separate movie. Treat it as such. But the two-parter thing makes it a little difficult.
In what way?
The submarine, the key, and the entity, it has all this connective tissue. And plus, I really liked Dead Reckoning. Like that one, it had good action. It had levity in it.
It's so strong. Yep. The new actor who plays the thief, who she becomes a main piece of the team.
Hayley
She's
Atwell.
Great. Yes, Hayley Atwell. She's amazing in it. She's a great addition to the cast. It's a great movie, Dead Reckoning.
So there were some other cast members. She's from Guardians of the Galaxy, played the assassin who chases them in Rome in that Hummer.
The super chaotic, hardcore. She's amazing. Like, what a great addition. So fun. This movie, for better and for worse, adds a bunch of new people to the franchise who become very important for the rest of the series, being this movie and the next. That lady that you just mentioned, who I think is great, Hayley Atwell, who I think is great, and they introduce the final human antagonist.
Yeah.
And boy, howdy, Saurabh. I think back. I have to think back to an earlier podcast and correct myself, because I said the villains are so dry toast. There's nothing stand out about them. We need a villain who is campy and a little flamboyant and out there and has some pizzazz. I was totally wrong. The villain in this brings that kind of over the top villain, I'm the bad guy behavior to this, and it is the worst possible choice. It takes me out of it immediately. I did not enjoy.
The villains for these last two, with Gabriel, played by Esai Morales.
Yes.
And then the entity. And the entity I go back and forth on, but I feel like with Gabriel...
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
But with Gabriel, I feel like, okay, in Dead Reckoning, it was getting a little cartoonish, but still kind of fun because it was different. You know, like I was okay with it. I didn't love it, but I was okay with it in Dead Reckoning. But in Final Reckoning, I'm like, this is so stupid.
Agreed. Yeah. Completely. In Dead Reckoning, okay, whatever. Final, he's, they're on the plane and he's smiling as he's like trying to mess him up. And it's just like, dude, it's just not working. And the entity, I just think it's kind of a cop-out, man, to be like, we have the AI that knows everything and is the best at every It's like, okay, like, great. How are you going to do it? Okay, I guess you did it. I guess you fixed it. There's just, when the stakes are that high and the enemy is that powerful, it really just like, I kind of just fall out of it,
And I think like the reason why like the first one I was pretty okay with it is because it really made me focus more on, okay, what's the ethos of Ethan and his team? Like it really is more about them in that. But then in Final Reckoning with the entity, the nukes and like the bunker and like all that stuff was just so...
It was over the top.
Yeah, there are some things from Final Reckoning that I really did enjoy for sure. I mean, the main two action pieces were great.
Yes.
I mean, the submarine and the biplane. And actually, one other thing that I did like in Final Reckoning is this showing of you can have extremists infiltrate all levels of things.
Yeah,
and
totally.
When Ethan's attacked on the submarine.
Yeah, he's like on a submarine that's taking him to the place where they think the Russian submarine from the first movie sunk, where the MacGuffin is that he needs to get.
That was kind of cool. Also, when there's like the guy who's in the I don't know if you want to call it the situation room with the president and
tries
is about to like, attack.
Yeah,
like those things were interesting ideas that they played with.
That it's like a cult. Almost. Like the entity has a cult. I think they even use that word in it. So I've been waiting to talk to you about this. And we're going to laugh because how ridiculous this is. But in Final Reckoning, the most recent one that just came out, there is a shot of a man who's in this cult. They show him twice saying this, who say, it's the children of the atom. He says, we're going to be the children of the atom. It's like news footage of this guy saying that. And children of the atom is what they refer to the X-Men as in the X-Men. And so being an X-Men fan when I was a kid and like into the comics, I thought we were going to do what everyone's doing right now and do some sort of crazy crossover where the ending of Mission Impossible was going to be, okay, X-Men, you know what I mean? I got so excited. And then when that did not happen, because of course it didn't, I was a little like, all right.
There's a video that, I don't know if I've sent it to you. There's this content creator called Straw Hat Goofy, and he talks about, okay, take Universal's two biggest franchises, and what if you did a crossover? It sounds ridiculous, but it's so campy. I would love to see it. It's Jurassic Park and the Fast and Furious franchise.
I think that's a great idea.
It's one of the best pitches I have ever heard. I'm going to send it your way.
Please do. I think a lot, like tangent time, a lot of crossovers. I would love to do a crossover of Indiana Jones and The Rocketeer and a crossover of Paddington Bear and Succession, where Paddington Bear goes to live with the Roy family.
Okay. That'd be pretty dope. I would like that.
Anyway, Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. So for Final Reckoning, the runtime, is also long, 2 hours and 50 minutes. Dude, the budget on this one supposedly up to $400 million. That's like Avatar. That's more than Avatar.
That's insane. And the set pieces are great. The submarine sequence where he is at the bottom of the ocean navigating a submarine is some of the scariest cinema I've ever seen. It made me feel so uncomfortable. It's so well done. But man, the biplane stuff is interesting for like 30 seconds. Like, it's incredible that Tom Cruise did this, right? I get it. But my God, man, it's 2025. Like, if a video doesn't capture me in 0.5 seconds, I'm gone. Yeah. And we see Tom Cruise on that stupid biplane for like 15 full minutes. Like, we got it. You know?
And McQuarrie even said they had to really try to make the intensity of that something that you could visually see. Yeah. They had to actually have the planes fly pretty damn low. So you have a...
context.
What do you call that? Yeah, exactly. The motion, like perception.
Right.
It just
it's all very and okay, here's the thing. Is the big stunts in the whole franchise, like in the latter half of this franchise, I don't care about them, man. Like in Dead Reckoning, the second to last, the big stunt is Tom Cruise drives a motorcycle off the mountain. Very impressive. But dude, like the CGI of that scene completely took me out of it. It's just like, it's really kind of disappointing. The scene in the train where the train is hanging off and about to fall into the abyss, which follows that big stunt. That's a great scene. That's the submarine at the bottom of the ocean scene. That's actually interesting. The big thing where he's in Fallout where he's hanging off the plane. I know that's very impressive to do. It just doesn't really translate for me.
Rogue Nation. What do you
Rogue Nation. What's the one in Fallout?
Fallout is the Halo jump. That was pretty cool.
That was dope. That was cool.
I feel like Fallout had a good balance of like they did really cool action pieces, but they didn't stay on any one too long, except the running, which still somehow worked. Yeah.
Tom Cruise running is just very interesting, but I think that's the key with this is like the Mission Impossible stunts really need to be like a Super Mario game. They introduce a fun idea, you get to explore it, it gets progressively difficult, and then it's gone, and you're on to the next thing. And these ones, it just seems, at least in Final Reckoning, which is the last one, the biplane stuff, it was just like over and over and over again. Like, just move on. You know, we all know how this is going to end. It lost me.
I thought there were so many different ways they could go with this. For me, it was kind of a letdown. I wish that they, instead of doing this thing of using an AI to tie all the movies together, you know, and have that very overwhelming beginning with all the exposition.
Yep.
If they just had a contained story like a Fallout, a Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol, something like that, that's, I think, where you could go out on a high note. Because each of these movies, like they are fun on their own, and that's great.
I completely agree. I do not understand why they thought they needed to retcon all the previous movies and to be like, this is what it's been the whole time. That seems like two things, such a disrespect to the previous films and also so unnecessary. Like, really, what changed the story by it being this thing the whole time? I think cinema is doing this thing right now where there needs to be like a sweeping epic opera where, you know, it's over multiple books, multiple films. It's all been leading up to this from because Marvel did it with End War, which was really impressive. But like, you don't need to do that.
It's like, so Keanu Reeves right now is filming Constantine 2 and he's unhappy with but he's unhappy with the script because he's saying stuff like, don't make it Marvel. It doesn't need to be. You know what I mean? And I love the guy for that.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I get Marvel made money. They did something that was successful. And I know Hollywood is like, that worked. Wring every drop from that. But it's just lazy storytelling to retcon like that, in my opinion. The retconning is just, it was so unnecessary.
Maybe I'm giving too much credit to McQuarrie here, but a feeling I have with him on especially these last two, that he, for the longest time for his writing and directing career, was trying to be very particular and take control of it. And that's when he was having problems. So when he when he decided to be like, all right, I didn't plan on this door opening up, but I'm going to walk through it and just go with it. That's worked for him. He's had a lot of success with it. However, even during that, I mean, I respect the guy. He's talented, but things can still come up that are outside of his control. And he knows that. Like before Final Reckoning, a movie that was a disaster for him was The Mummy, which was also with Tom Cruise.
Oh, he did The Mummy. Okay. The remake. Yeah.
The 2017 one. And I think that movie, The Mummy, and this movie, Final Reckoning, I feel like Tom Cruise stepped in a lot more. And it's just
pretty
like,
obvious.
All right, yeah. Because when you let McQuarrie do his thing, like when he first did Jack Reacher, that was fun.
Right.
You know?
Was fun.
And Edge of Tomorrow, his writing influence, Top Gun Maverick. But when Cruise has stepped in and not trusted his team, it's been problematic.
I completely agree. And you're hitting on something that I wanted to mention at some point, which was, I always forget, Dead Reckoning is 7, Final Reckoning is 8. The last movie.
Mhm.
Dead Reckoning felt this way. Final Reckoning really felt this way. It felt like Tom Cruise, superhuman, like 1 in a trillion human being who is able to achieve anything he wants as a man, saying, "I want to do this," and no one saying no. Everyone's saying yes because he's Tom fucking Cruise.
Yeah.
You know, like. I gotta hand it to the guy. He really is a once in a multiple lifetime human being. He gets shit done. I don't understand the man at all. But even in the acting, I think I mentioned this to you, like when he would be having a scene with someone, like at the end of Final Reckoning, where he's making up with Jim Phelps' son, and he walks away, and the actor playing Jim Phelps looks at him like, "Wow, Ethan Hunt." And I can't help but think like what the actor felt like being in the Tom Cruise show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh, sure.
I can't help but think like how, especially for Hayley Atwell in the decompression tank too, where she's keeping him warm after the submarine and kissing him and doing all this stuff. Like, well, Tom Cruise told me to do this stuff, so I'm going to do it. I just felt very much like Tom Cruise was, "Hey, I've got this great idea. Everybody follow me." And everybody did, and was kind of like looking at each other the whole time, and saying like, "We're going to make a shitload of money on this."
But on a more personal view, and I think this is the same for you, what did you say about it, Mark? Tom Cruise returns to acting? Is that what you said?
Yes, that is what I'm hoping happens now that he has gotten this out of his system. He's putting the clothes. I want to see Tom Cruise in Collateral. I want to see Tom Cruise in Magnolia. I want to see Tom Cruise act because he's a great actor, and he has decades now more.
I'm actually very excited for this next thing. Talk about tangent, sorry, just for a second. This next thing that he's working on, it's just listed as untitled Alejandro Inarritu film.
That's very encouraging to hear Tom Cruise doing this. It's the same as hearing him doing a Paul Thomas Anderson or Wes Anderson or some sort of auteur director who they're interested in making character-driven pieces. Well, and I really hope he returns to acting, man.
And even with franchises, there are still some exciting opportunities too. Like now he has this deal where he also works with Warner Brothers. And he was recently singing the praises of Sinners and Ryan Coogler and saying, "Oh, I want to work with Michael B. Jordan for sure. We will work on a movie together."
Cool.
And they're already developing a sequel. So
with Cruise in it?
The rumors. So like
wow.
Interview with the Vampire was a long, long time ago, but like
he could put those fangs back in.
Yeah, as a villain, he was great in Collateral as a villain, and
I agree.
I think, and an Interview with the Vampire. Yeah, so But Mark, for Mission Impossible, check this out. These are the franchise totals of let's take the combined production budgets.
Okay.
Well, do you have a guess?
No. Okay. Okay. Well, you said 1 point, so I got to say it's over $1 billion.
Yeah.
To produce all these movies. Over $1 billion. Oh my God. Okay. And they've made, I'm going to say, just shy of $2 billion.
The combined global box office of all 8 films?
Yeah.
First of all, the combined production budget of all 8 movies is $1.52 billion.
Oh, whoa. That's way bigger than I thought you were going to say.
And the combined global box office, now, this is it. So I'm putting an estimate for the last film. I think the last film is going to have a range of somewhere between 500 to 600 million. I think that it's going to probably peak there because the summer is completely booked up and just, so going with that assumption of the range of the last one, it's 5.1 to 5.2 billion. I mean, now, unfortunately, I don't think Paramount's going to do the accounting like that over 30 years. But, the last 2 films probably is pretty crappy, finances. But, man, looking back at the whole thing, it's impressive.
It's very impressive for a franchise of some goofy ass movies. And, dude, I feel so torn about this franchise. I enjoy watching them and I had fun, but I'm so glad that we're not getting another Mission Impossible movie. I mean, who knows? But we're not getting one that's like the Tom Cruise, McQuarrie driven sort of thing.
The Cruise era is over.
It's over, and I think it needs to be. It's just, this last one, it did. Okay, this kind of going into a different direction in the conversation, but did you notice there was a lot of like confined, in a dark room fighting with Cruise and his chonies, and it wasn't very interesting choreography.
No,
it was it was like 10 minutes of a guy trying to fight Cruise with a knife. And like, again, got it. Yeah. I understand. Like the choreography did not necessitate that continuing to go on and on and on.
I just really do feel like though that if Cruise had let McQuarrie cook, like it could have been, it still might have been goofy and silly, but I think it would have been a lot more entertaining in the Dead Reckoning, way of things.
I totally agree.
Man, how many moments in Dead Reckoning were funny? The car chase scene, with the Fiat, Cruise slamming into the train at that moment, like just there were tons of moments where I just laughed when Shea Wiggum pulls the guy's face in the airport. You know what I mean? Like
to check for a mask.
Yeah, but there is so much dread in the final reckoning. Like I just okay, the submarine scene. Sure, you couldn't breathe there because of that was really good tension.
That was a great tension.
But also, I just felt like shit the rest of the time as well.
Dude, it's true. Like that is such a good point, man. Like it is really not a fun movie, and everyone is angry at each other. They have the actress from Ted Lasso and Mr. Milchick from Severance, who play two different characters but very similar characters. They're like Navy captains or whatever, and like. They're in it for such a fraction. It's like, this couldn't have been one. You know what I mean? Like, and what they build with these characters felt really unnecessary and cartoonish for me. Like Mr. Milchick's thing was he called him Mr. every other sentence. He goes, well, I don't know, Mr. What are you trying to do, Mr.? Right. It's like, what's your deal, dude?
Well, and also like the only levity, besides that, I felt was also Nick Offerman's part, which was pretty short too. I mean, just saying, and it's pretty much the part from the trailer. He's recapping, he survived the Kremlin thing. He gassed the intelligence meeting. I'm like, all right, this is the only kind of like funny, whatever, goofy, moment. And, but then he's out of the movie for like most of it.
They got a lot of big names to do nothing with. And this movie does, going along with what we're talking about of like being in the Tom Cruise show, this movie constantly had randos showing up who just look at Ethan Hunt with awe and admiration. They just met the guy and they're like obsessed with him. It's so weird. Like in the when Cruise is preparing to dive down to the submarine, the sunken sub, and he's on the US sub, and like there's 2 or 3 sailors who are like helping him, and they're like watching him just exist like through the porthole. It's so weird. Like I don't get what Tom Cruise was going for with that.
Yeah. And a frustrating part was I liked the Ilsa Faust character so much. I thought it was really fun. And probably one of my favorite parts of this franchise is the fight that her and Gabriel have
on the bridge.
Yeah. Like, because it's very choreographed. It feels very like, I want to see this on the big screen. It has like the fun orchestral music.
The stakes are there. Like it makes sense to have a drawn out fight because the stakes have been like, hey, this character could die here. She does not have plot armor. And she does.
Okay, so McQuarrie, a difference between McQuarrie and Cruise I feel you see very clearly is McQuarrie's fine with showing, look, death is permanent and like that, that there are stakes. And okay, if we're going to have the AI, I'm not going to focus so much on the technicals, just try to make it scary. You know what I mean? Like we've seen AI in movies before, and there's been one incident before, by the way, that Cruise did, and then there was one way back, which was actually the really only good one, in my opinion. The one that Cruise was involved with before, Mark, and this is why I'm really thinking that Cruise took control of these last 2 movies, especially the 8th one. Yeah. Do you remember Oblivion?
I remember there being a movie called Oblivion, but I don't know if I ever saw it.
Joseph Kosinski, who later went to direct Top Gun Maverick, he did this one, and it's Cruise who's in outer space, and he has a clone, you find out later, and there's a big AI that's actually causing all the problems. And
okay, so it's 2001, basically.
It was so bad, but like a really bad version.
God. Okay.
Of 2001. Very cool visuals. Could not care less, though, about the movie. But the only AI that I've seen, I think, in Hollywood that I've enjoyed is actually a big franchise, big budget movie, and that's Terminator. Like, just when you have Skynet and then you have the T whatever models that are coming after either first Sarah Connor and then after the Terminator himself, it's just meant to make them scary. It's not meant to be like, this is the, well, yes, there's a difference, but I agree that there's a difference of how they handled AI. Like, but I will say, like, after T2, I'm kind of lost on the franchise, right? But T2 is like one of the best movies ever made. No, I mean, and like the AI in T2 was very scary and very over the top and aggressive, but it wasn't like unbeatable. Like it wasn't, and I get that Mission Impossible's whole thing is like, this compound we have to break into is the maximum security thing in the, in the universe, whatever. So I get that, like, it always has to, it's Mission Impossible. But I don't know, for the enemy, it just feels kind of cheap and lazy. He's obsessed. I do think Cruise is obsessed with AI and just this idea of these like all-knowing, all whatever.
It's because he is a robot.
Yeah, because look, the earlier movies, Mission 1 and even the earlier McQuarrie movies, the good guys make mistakes, or sometimes the bad guys outsmart the good guys. You know what I mean? Like when things like that happen, it's definitely something about that movie shakes you more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lazy. Dude, it kind of pisses me off, man. Like $1.5 billion spent over 30 years. Like, why isn't there original sort of like really quality? What other industry could you spend that kind of money and have a product that is just like, well, here's what, it was fun, but here's what's wrong with it. You know what I mean? It's so weird.
So I have a question. Actually, I have two questions for you. I put two of these, like, they're under my section, but or the likes of these movies, but it's more of a question, really. I find it really interesting. I'm trying to imagine being in the shoes of McQuarrie and Cruise when they're dealing with all these problems. Sure. Yeah. The COVID strikes, again, inflation. And yet it's weird how they're deciding what plot lines to actually follow through and answer and which ones to throw away.
Sure.
I can think of two specific ones, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. The Shea Wiggum character, we in Dead Reckoning realize that he hates Cruise for some reason. Like, it is personal, right? And later we find out.
Is this Gabriel?
No, Shea Wiggum is the guy who ends up being the son of Phelps.
Gotcha. He's the American agent who's trying to arrest Tom Cruise. Yeah. Who turns out to be the son of John Voight from the first one. Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So like, I appreciate it. I'm like, oh, okay, they closed this loop. You know what I mean? Like, but the other one, and I remember you were saying like maybe it was okay to leave it open-ended.
I've had a change of heart, but yes.
The Mariana story?
Basically his whole Ethan Hunt's whole backstory.
They abandoned it. They totally
It's just a flashback of a woman getting stabbed. That's all we know about Ethan Hunt.
Imagine you're her, the actor who like, and I think she was even told like, oh yeah, they probably shot more stuff too, because like McQuarrie always mentions this, like, yeah, we shoot the hell out of everything. We have tons of stuff, but we cut. And I actually don't question him on that. Like for whatever reason, probably scheduling or legal logistics, whatever. Like they had to do it.
Right.
But man, as a viewer, it's frustrating.
Well, initially when we talked about it, I was like, I don't know that I need Ethan Hunt's whole story. Like, I'm not sure that's necessary. And I do still think that, but I'm so confused as to why they didn't go into his backstory, because the whole franchise is Ethan Hunt is Jesus. He's like the savior. He is the superhero. Ethan Hunt is the best man who has ever existed. And like to then just gloss over his backstory, it feels like a kind of like an unexpected right turn for a franchise like this. You know what I mean? Like, so I agree with you that it feels a little off that we didn't get more information.
And how do you feel about bringing up the rabbit's foot again and connecting that to
the
like
retconning of being I hated it. I was just like, why does it have to? So the rabbit's foot is in the third movie.
Yeah.
It's the MacGuffin that Ethan Hunt has to steal back. And in this one, now they go, oh, well, really, it wasn't that. It was actually this thing. And it's like, okay. Like the third movie came out 20 years ago. No one saw the most recent Mission Impossible except you and me leading up to this. Like no one gives a shit. I don't get it. I don't get why that decision was made. It's so weird. It's a very Hollywood decision.
But then there was one part that this feels like McQuarrie, and I think because you had pointed this out to me, and I never realized this is what they meant when they said this particular line.
I was about to bring that up. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell listeners how grace was used?
This kind of blew my mind and I don't know how I didn't realize it in Dead Reckoning, but basically Grace, who is Hayley Atwell, the new addition to the IMF team, to Tom Cruise's team, she gets in so deep in legal trouble and just her life in danger with the CIA, with these rogue agents and stuff, that Tom Cruise says, hey, I'm going to offer you a choice. And that choice is either you leave us and you will die. You will be captured or you will die. You will be tortured. Bad things will happen to you. Or you join our team and the mission, should you choose to accept it, will be that we have your back. But you're going to have to do crazy shit with us. And I realized in that moment that every time they get a mission and the thing says your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to, they are re-engaging their contract. And they're saying, I am choosing to be, it's not like, nah, I'm going to sit this one out. It's, I am choosing to not die. I am choosing not to go to jail, not die. I am choosing to continue to do this crazy whack shit because the alternative is worse. That was like,
that's really cool. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's a great moment. I wish, I don't think, like, I didn't realize that. Listen, Mission Impossible has been in my life for 30 years. I didn't realize that until a couple days ago.
You know what? Part of me wonders, like, I don't even know if they had planned that, like the original, like Brian De Palma, Robert Towne, like, but I feel like McQuarrie's like, I see an opportunity here. You know what I mean? And
totally.
and it's a really cool, this is the guy who, came up with Kaiser Soze and, Usual Suspects and everything.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. That's wild.
Yeah. So McQuarrie won, what do you call the Best Screenplay Oscar for
Usual
Suspects.
Wow. God, I didn't know that was, okay, cool.
The villains couldn't care less.
So bad. All through the entire franchise, pretty much, man.
Yeah.
Name a standout villain. Like, and I'm not talking about like okay. You name your favorite villain in this series, and then I'll name my favorite villain.
I don't think that Solomon Lane by himself would have been interesting enough. Maybe John Lark, with Henry Cavill, because Henry Cavill is scary as hell, as you said. Like
he's great.
I don't know, great villain.
Here's mine. Henry Cavill would be mine if it wasn't for one other guy who I think is a fantastic villain, even apart from being in Mission Impossible, just in general. They got one villain right, and that's Kittredge from the very first movie all the way through, because he's a good guy, but not really. You are never really certain if he is really on the level. And they develop him in a very nuanced way. And the actor playing him plays him in a nuanced way where you think he's doing good because Ethan Hunt is a hothead, and you think Kittredge is like just being the authority, but then about halfway through the franchise, you're not so certain. You're not so certain that this guy is like the main guy. So for that reason, I think of Kittredge as a villain. And I think he does a great job in it.
How do you feel about him between these last two, Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning, where he returns?
I was really glad to see him return. Like for whatever reason, I just think he brought some solidity to this really goofy franchise that it really needed. And he was established in the first one as a great foil to Ethan Hunt. I really liked the way they brought him back. I don't think, if I watched him again with this in mind, I know I would be able to find a complaint. But right now, I can't find a complaint about Kittredge.
I liked the use of him in Dead Reckoning. Like, again, the whole opening at that intelligence meeting, and then, of course, even wrapping up on the train. But again, Final Reckoning, I don't know. Final Reckoning, it's not him in particular. It's just, again, that movie was kind of a mess. And I just feel like even he couldn't, save it, because I was initially thinking like, okay, like he just shows up in that underground cave, whatever. I mean, okay, we're racing in these carts, and there's a part that I think this is just me getting older, man. Like in Final Reckoning, these big ass bombs just showing up at random parts. Like
yes. Oh my God. Yes. 100%. 100%. Just, and even Dead Reckoning, like in the airport, all of a sudden there's a nuclear bomb that Benji's got to defuse.
Yeah. As a kid, I probably wouldn't have cared. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like the, lights and whatever, the explosion. Now I'm just like, how'd you get that thing? Like, I don't know. Like now I'm thinking about all the logistics. You know what I mean?
Just like it's okay. So this is kind of funny because listen, guys, this is a 3-hour movie and I'm a 41-year-old man. Okay. I had to pee. And I decided to pee when they get to South Africa and they're going into the cave, and it's just Tom Cruise and his team. I'm gone for like 2 minutes tops. I come back and all of a sudden, Kittredge and the CIA are there, Gabriel and his team are there, and there's a nuclear bomb that's 15 minutes away from exploding. And I was like, whoa, what happened? I leaned over to you and was like, whose bomb is that? Is that the CIA's bomb or Gabriel's?
and I think even I wasn't sure, like, in that moment, but like just...
I think you went, oh, I think it's Gabriel's.
Yeah. I think it's Gabriel's. I mean, yeah, it is always him who does have those. Yeah, like anyways, really...
Just weird.
Very, very weird. But villain, yeah, probably the worst of the bunch.
Agreed.
Now for these two movies...
saying something.
Rewatchability for these two movies. Let's start with Dead Reckoning. Rewatchable?
It's good. I really enjoyed Dead Reckoning. It's really fun.
Dead Reckoning, because especially like you think, what I really love besides everything like the stunts and Hayley Atwell and all that, I actually really like that shot at the end and Kittredge's voiceover, and we go underwater and find the sub again. Like, okay, now we're about to. I'm like, grand adventure's coming, right?
Yeah.
The Final Reckoning had some of that. Like that part was actually great. But the rest was...
It wasn't good, man. Like, it's so funny that we've been, like, I feel like I've been shitting on this movie for the past hour, and I'm like, it's pretty good. I'll watch it again. Like, Dead Reckoning I liked. Final Reckoning, it had fun moments. It had really fun moments, but my God, there is so much fat on it. It could have been, literally an hour could have been taken off of this movie. There is so much superfluous stuff in this film. It's kind of ridiculous.
The cruise sprinting in Dead Reckoning, there were two parts, that were kind of cool. One was unnecessary, where he's running on the roof of the airport in like Dubai or whatever. Yeah. That one wasn't necessary. Okay.
Especially because the shot of him doing it is like a drone shot from way high up. So you see him barely making any progress on this giant building. Whereas like when you've got a tight dolly and you're going with him, it feels like very exciting. But the wider you get with your shots, the less impressive the Tom Cruise run is.
They already had a kind of a cool thing at that airport part where they have the camera looking up from below from Wiggum, and you see Cruise in the background running. That was, that was cool. A cool shot.
That was good. Yeah.
And then the other one, which was fun, was when he's running through Venice, the candlelit hallway. Like that
cool.
was kind of that was good. Yeah. But then in the Final Reckoning, I started laughing because they threw in running scenes anywhere they could. Running through London, running through the cave. So he
running
survived
through the fields.
running through the fields and then the plane.
Dude.
You know what that reminded me of, Mark? It reminded me of MI3 when he does the little like slingshot thing landing on the building.
Totally.
So you and I were like, man, we'd be half dead, but no, he still has a full mission ahead of him.
right. It's like when I watch football now and there's one tackle, I'm like, I would be like, that's it, guys. I'm done. That's all I have in me today. Good night. And these guys keep doing it. It's the same thing. Like Ethan Hunt, like what a guy. Let me ask you, Saurabh, what is one thing you liked about Final Reckoning? And I'll tell you what I liked about it.
One thing I liked about just
Could
like
be anything.
The submarine sequence is some of the most impressive. Like I couldn't breathe through all of that. You know,
very
just
tense.
That was very
and it's not
well
a short
done.
scene either. It's a long scene, and I was there for the whole thing.
Yeah, and there's that one fight that I'm with you that most of the choreography I didn't love, but but there was one where when that guy who's part of the cult tries to attack Ethan while he's training to go to the sub, that was a cool fight scene. That was well done. What else did you like?
I like that sequence as well. It's the strongest part of the movie, in my opinion. And I'm a sucker for this kind of thing. I'm a sucker for a team that is unlikely. So the IMF team in this one is the chaotic lady from the last one, and the Jim Phelps's son's partner. Join Hunt for the greater good. I eat that shit up. I love that stuff so much. And to see this like ragtag group of people who are all together, who were just fighting each other, 24 hours ago, to see them going, let's put aside our differences and make it work. I love it. And I thought this movie did that pretty well.
That character, Degas, who was the other IMF agent from Dead Reckoning with Wiggum, and then gets convinced to join their team. And he's also one of the actors from Top Gun Maverick. So I like how he had a good reteaming, on this movie or these two movies. And then I did get, by the way, the other actor's name, Pom Klementieff, who plays Paris, that unhinged, fun assassin.
Yeah,
crazy.
She's great. And then,
that ragtag.
Oh my God, we haven't even mentioned the guy from the first movie who is in the Black Vault at CIA.
Oh.
He comes back and he's a part of the team too.
And the fact that he had the knife, he's still holding the knife like in the original movie.
That was great. I liked that a lot.
There was a confusing part. I thought at the end, Benji died. And then he's there at the square at the end. I was confused.
Really? I don't think I thought he died. I thought he made it. I was worried he was going to die. What confused me was I thought, what's the chaotic lady's name?
Hayley Atwell, Grace?
No, the villain who becomes a good guy.
Paris is that Paris' name.
I thought the way they were shooting Benji and Paris, because Paris helps Benji a lot in this movie, and Benji helps Paris a lot. They're often seen together, working together, and she saves his life by performing a tracheotomy on his or whatever, so he can breathe because he has a collapsed lung. It's a very grotesque, intense scene. I thought for sure that they were going to be seen walking off together hand in hand. It is shot so coded that they're falling in love. I'm glad they didn't do that because it's a little on the nose, but in my head canon, they did. But dude, Saurabh, the scene in the square is so funny to me. We were successful. Let's all meet up at a busy London subway square and look at each other significantly, not say a word, and walk away. No thumbs up. Protocol. It's no beer. You just did the impossible thing. Why not celebrate?
At least the Avengers had shawarma. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't get anything. Yeah. So weird.
Oh my gosh.
Such a funny movie.
I didn't like that ending. I wish the ending actually did something like the first one where, Hunt's on the plane and it's like, would you like the cinema of whatever, the Caribbean? And you hear the music cue in and it's like, the next mission, have something fun. Just because you're closing one era, you don't have to make it like a mourning. Why approach it like that?
Yes. There was a big finality to it. Where hey, this is it. And, I don't mind it just because it's like, thank God. Like, I don't think we need any more of these type of movies, the Mission Impossible. But I get what you're saying is like, it's not really over, right? It's never over for these people.
No, I think, I'm hoping like there are rumors that they might either reboot the franchise. So actually, this was going to lead into some like open questions now, like that we've reached the end of the franchise. And that question is, did the franchise finish well? And where do you see the franchise going forward if you're Paramount?
They really didn't set up someone to take the reins. Luther's dead. We haven't even talked about that. Luther's dead.
Yeah.
Dies from a bomb. Shocking. They didn't set anyone up. I think it would be cool if it followed Paris, honestly. I think she's the most interesting character.
Yeah. Totally.
But I don't think it will. I think, I don't know. I have no idea where they go. What do you think?
Well, there have been, again, rumors and a lot of strong denials that Glenn Powell is being like kind of courted to take over. Again, like
that would make so much sense, dude.
Top Gun Maverick, you know what I mean? Again, another carryover. I do think you had mentioned this before. Take it back to its roots. Bring it back to a series. Ground it a bit more.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And maybe even try to like pull from the headlines. Use some of the current geopolitics. Like that could be fun stories to throw in there.
I have a great idea. This is what they should do. If they were daring and original, this is what they would do. They would make it a series and they would set it in 1960 and they would do a beginning of the IMF, like back how it started, right? Like the original series was a TV series in the, I don't know when it went, 60s, 70s, something like that. Set it as a timepiece of like the formation of the IMF with all like sets of all old stuff. That would be rad.
And really rough around the edges. They make a lot of mistakes, like and they learn who they want to be from that. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, we should write it. That's such a good idea.
Do you know, by the way, like who we have to thank for all of this as far as like the TV series which led to the movie series? It's a very unexpected name. Actually, pair of names, but really one name. Lucille Ball.
What?
She had the production company that made sure the series went to air. And CBS, they didn't love the show. They wanted to shorten the episode count, all of that. She's like, you want I Love Lucy? You're running this show. You're giving it a full season.
What?
And Mission Impossible and Star Trek. Those are two that without her wouldn't happen. Gene Roddenberry wouldn't have, there'd be no support.
What?
So
wow, I mean, talk about someone who had a finger on the pulse of what would be successful and good. You know, the industry really needs more people like that who can see the quality and bring it to life.
And then Mark, it's all been leading up to this though.
Tom Cruise raising cows.
I'm going to ask
talk about that.
So okay, what happened?
Okay, I have to talk about this. Tom Cruise is on the biplane fighting Gabriel for an hour and 15 minutes, feels like. He finally succeeds, he lands, he parachutes, he lands, his parachute fails, he somehow gets another parachute, he lands. The first thing he does is he looks and he sees cows. He looks up, the camera goes to his point of view, we see a bunch of cows looking at him. He waves to the cows. And like, at this point, I was so tired and checked out. I was like,
yeah, sure. You got to wave. You got to wave.
What? It was weird.
By the way, you glossed over one other thing too that I was very confused about. Where did that other parachute come from? It was very clear you didn't have another parachute.
Gabriel goes, haha, I'm the only one with a parachute, and he dies. And I thought Tom Cruise was going to go catch his body midair. And then Gabriel says, you do not have a parachute. So we think, oh, he doesn't have a parachute. Then he has one. And it goes up and then it bursts into flames. And so he doesn't have one. But then he lands with a parachute. So not only did he have one secret parachute, he had two.
Yeah. See, like this movie makes no fucking sense. Like, can I tell you something actually? Like because of all of this, I really want to watch this again just because of all the stuff we're talking about.
100%. 100%.
All right, Mark, but now I got to ask you, man. I got to ask you, please do us, the favor of ranking the 8 movies. Do you want to go worst to best or best to worst?
Best to worst. First one, best. Dead Reckoning, Fallout. Ghost Protocol and this most recent one are very tied to me. I'm going to say number 2 as my number 4. second one. Then Interchangeable, Ghost Protocol, Final Reckoning. And then the third one is the last. What's yours?
Mission Impossible 1. Fallout.
Okay.
Rogue Nation.
Is that number 4?
Rogue Nation's number 5. The first one with Christopher McQuarrie, where he hangs off the plane and Solomon Lane is the villain the first time.
Did you do that one? I didn't even do that one. That one didn't even make it in there. Anyway, continue.
Fallout, Rogue Nation, Dead Reckoning, Ghost Protocol, The Final Reckoning, Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible 3.
They really blend together to me, man. Like, yeah. I really have to, here's how I think about it. Number 4 is Ghost Protocol. I think about the horrible latter third of that movie. I think about them going to Mumbai. That's what I think of. The next one is Rogue Nation. I think about the glass booth. That's how I think of that one. Fallout, them at the camp, and then the other ones. Like I have to, it's so hard to think of these as standalone films.
Yeah.
They blend.
They need the set pieces. They need the set pieces because that's how you identify. Like everybody.
That's how you identify.
Like the posters are actually really doing the work for us. It's like, okay.
Literally.
Yeah, he's hanging on the plane.
And in the early ones, it's which woman is in it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because they're just like super replaceable, which like I get, it's the genre, it's the James Bond. We have a different female lead every movie. I get it. But it's like, I don't know, it just feels different to me. It just feels a little kind of gross.
And this is why I think, you and I have been saying several times now, the first one is on its own. And really, like, if they do a series in particular, I hope that they follow that structure, that type of format.
I agree. It's the only, like, film of this bunch. It's the only standalone piece of quality cinema from the whole thing.
I also want to do just a quick rank within the rank. So this would be Christopher McQuarrie's list. So, that list, by the way, is not 4 films. I'm counting Ghost Protocol because he had a substantial part in that. So it's 5 movies. I'll say that Fallout is my favorite. Then Rogue Nation, Dead Reckoning, Ghost Protocol, Final Reckoning.
That is a very... Yes, I agree with that. I would put Dead Reckoning as my favorite and Fallout as my second. What happens in Rogue Nation?
In Rogue Nation,
what's the set piece?
The set piece is him hanging off the plane at the beginning.
Yeah, which has nothing to do with the rest of the story.
The other big set piece is him holding his breath underwater.
Right, he jumps into the giant hole. That's where we get Elsa for the first time, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
No, that one's not bad. That one's fun.
It's a little overshadowed, but like the action sequence at the Vienna Opera House is incredible.
Oh, the sniper battle. Yes.
The three-way.
That was very good. That was a very good scene.
And Ilsa's like signature move of jump up on their head, twist around. And
yeah. Her finishing move.
Yeah, the Mortal Kombat, fatality.
Exactly.
But man, we've made it through 8 movies. Like I mean,
crazy.
This movie, I know it holds a special place in your heart, definitely does in mine. That said, I'm glad we made it through.
I am too. I'm as much fun. And here's the thing. I really looked forward to watching these movies. Yeah. Like when it was time to watch them, I was like, let's go. 2 hours of just like fun entertainment. And, I think it's very easy to be critical of these movies after you watch them. But the thing is, it's a fun experience to have, for better and for worse. It's fun to watch these films. They're fun films. And that being said, I'm glad we're through it and that we don't have to watch anymore. Yeah.
And I tell you what, so for whatever we do next, whether it's going to be an indie film, whether it's, a series, I'm excited. There's a lot of possibility ahead.
Thank you for allowing me to join you on this journey.
Dude, appreciate you, and we'll be back with more soon. And a quick note before we go. If you enjoyed today's episode and want more like it, please follow Soundspeed Action on your podcasting platform. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And if you can drop us a review too, we'd really appreciate it. It really helps the podcast a lot. Thanks, and we'll be back with more episodes soon.